Alright, so we're going to look at Tony Rice's break to Blue Ridge Cabin Home on the Bluegrass Album Band Volume 1, Track 1. This is it at tempo. Here we go. So they're in B flat, which is why I've got the capo on the 3rd fret, playing out of the G position. Man, that was kind of about, I was trying to clock it, it's about like 146 to 150, or sorry, 246 to 250 beats per minute. So it's right up there. It's probably at about the breaking point for my right hand and what I'm able to do. And so it's kind of interesting when you look at what he's done in this to kind of work through that. So I'm going to play it at about 70% so we can hear it a little bit more. But there's a lot of spots where he anticipates the next chord change or he delays an arrival of a chord change. And so this is at 70 beats per minute. See if we can listen to when those happen. Alright, so right there, right off the bat, comes, and he hits that syncopated D string that kind of leads into it. That by itself is kind of difficult to get timing-wise because it actually happens on the end of beat 1. And when you're going that fast, it is really tough to syncopate stuff without thinking about it really hard or have done it a million times. So right off the bat, he does that. He leads into the whole break with leads into that, and I know as a guitar player that's a really popular way to start a lot of solos, but by adding that syncopation before it, you know, he kind of changes the way the whole groove feels. The melody itself, he starts on that open B string and walks up chromatically. And starting on an open B string, now I know a lot of times on a lot of songs I would opt to go try to slide up. I don't know why, but it feels like you've got a lot more power and control right there. But he started on that open B string and walks up chromatically. And when he goes up chromatically, he goes up to that high B flat note, that third fret E string, which again is kind of an awkward thing. You know, I know so many guitar players that would opt to go, especially for what's following that lick, but instead he just walks right up that B string and then kind of does a rocking hammer, not hammer, but lays that 3rd finger over to catch that next note. So anyway, that's really slow. Right there's a delay. So he actually waits to like a beat and a half before he resolves in that C chord. And then he jumps right into the D chord 2 beats early. He anticipates the next chord change with that digital pattern before the D chord actually starts. So and then that's where that D chord actually happens, but he starts with that 5 chord actually happens because he starts with scale degree 1 of the 5 chord, scale degree 2 of the 5 chord, scale degree 3 of the 5 chord, scale degree 5 of the 5 chord to outline that D sound, even though he's still on that C shape or that 4 shape. Cool. It's nothing simple, just a 1, 2, 3, 5 outlining that chord change, but it works like really well. And then he's got some other cool stuff that happens here at the end of this phrase. Oh, sorry. So again, that's a delayed resolution. Okay, he doesn't even resolve it until beat 3 when the phrase ends on beat 1. There's the first half. Then he does this other cool thing to start up the next phrase, where he kind of he's playing that G chord, that G note or that B flat note, since we're capoed, but he's getting a couple different textures out of it. He's getting some sustain happening, which is it's just kind of a neat texture change right there, and it's one thing that I didn't catch until I listened to it really slowly. I always like that one. Just part of a bigger lick that usually happens over the 5. Which I think I heard Josh Williams do that, which he probably stole it from Tony, but he takes the second half of that, which is a very bluesy, very kind of like 5 going to 1 kind of motion, and then follows it up with doesn't do it once, doesn't do it twice, doesn't do it 3 times, but does it 4 times, which is, kind of in and of itself is kind of weird, because in improvisation and in like jazz and bluegrass improvisation, you always think about that kind of that rule of 3. Repeating something's always good, but by the 3rd time you're ready to add some variation or something. But again, he delays that resolution almost a full beat, which is, again, at that tempo at like 246, 250 beats per minute is really tough to think about. So I don't know if he was just rocking through comfortable shapes or things like that, or if he was actually thinking about making those, anticipations or delayed resolutions for each of those chord changes. Because I know that when we're at that tempo, I'm thinking really hard about landing on those melody notes or those chord tones right on the downbeat of each measure, but he doesn't. So this is it one more time at 70 beats per minute. Here we go. Important aside, because I always do it too, even though it's not what he does. He did that slide in right there, but you can also, if I catch myself doing a lot of times doing that same pull off thing to get down there too. So that's 70. We're gonna try it one more time at 100% just to see if it's possible, if I've kept my chops up. So there you have it.